Hello and welcome to a second part demonstration on completing Digital Nature Framework Project Description Template. Now we'll resume at the Application of Methodology section. To view all contents in the Application of Methodology tab, there are certain subsections within the Project Details tab that needs to be completed. Please refer to the instructions to identify those subsections. And they include project type and eligibility, project start date, project design, and project location subsection. If a single location of project activity is selected, then a first prompt would be the question about productive landscape. And if a group project is selected, then your first prompt in the application of methodology would be identifying the number of instances. And so if there are multiple instances, the first instance would be group 1, second instance would be group 2, and so forth. Then also the next question would be about identifying ecosystem different from the current instance and the previous instance. If yes, select yes, and if no, select no. You would then have the option to define ecosystem type and extent. Here you can utilize again the drop-down list for the realm, biome, ecosystem type, and put in the value for extent. You can add as many rows as needed. Now once step 1 is completed, it should then calculate the total extent and display the figure here from the back end. And it should also give you the slot to start step 2. And now for step 2, you would define the ecosystem type from the drop-down options, condition components, put in the indicator name, description of indicator, metric and unit, data source, and method used. Once you've entered all of this information, you do have to generate the condition indicator table. Also note here, if you're using a desktop, then the table should be fully optimized, so you do not have to utilize this scroll bar at the end. But if not, please bear in mind that you need to utilize the scroll bar for a laptop or a smaller screen. You can also add indicators by clicking the add indicator here. And now for step 3, you need to define the reference values for condition indicators. And you should have the condition indicator table pre-populated here. So please go ahead again and complete the necessary information as required, paying attention to, of course, all the asterisks and putting the right values. Also utilize the scroll bar at the bottom of the screen as needed. Once you've written all of this information in step 3, then you'd proceed to step 4, which is measuring the condition indicators at project start year 0. You'd also put in the values here as needed. Once you've entered in all the values to measure the condition indicators at project start year 0, you should then calculate standardized values for step 5. Once I click on this, I'll get a confirmation message, and this should show the box here and auto-calculate all of the standardized condition value. You do not have to change its values as they are calculated in the backend and auto-populated. So step 6, these values for both composition indicators and structure indicators per ecosystem are also auto-populated. The condition at project start year 0 is also auto-calculated and populated. Likewise, step 7, total ecosystem by the condition at year 0 or year t. In the crediting baseline section, you do have to select the method used for calculating crediting baseline in step A. If a method is not chosen in step A of the application of methodology tab, no requirement will appear in the crediting baseline tab. Here as well, similarly to the project details map, you could upload the KML or GeoJSON files. Once you've uploaded the files required for the map, provide the indicators using calculating crediting baseline here. You can use the scroll bar at the bottom again just to get a full view of the table if using a smaller screen, and utilize the add new rows once you've completed the existing row. Then also provide the value in defining or calculating the crediting baseline. Once you put in that value, indicate the number of panels and put in the year for the project year associated with each panel of data. You now select Done, and this should show the box or the panels that are required to measure the condition indicators at year T. Also pay attention to the full guidance text here. Once you've entered all the required values at year T, scroll to the bottom of the table and then click on this button. This button will then calculate standardized values and update the related sections. Provide a leakage value, a parameter value here. If the value is still unknown, enter 0, and then you can click on the calculate button at the top right of the screen. So again, you should get a system confirmation message, and you should have all the remaining steps from step 11 auto-populated. You should then have all the system calculations done displayed here. And you should have the remaining steps from step 11 to step 14 also auto-calculated and displayed here. So also just bear in mind, if any changes made in the sections above, just always make sure to calculate standardized value and update related sections, and also recomplete your calculation. The calculation completed button here can also display calculation errors. If you get a calculation error message, click on this button again. Then you should see a pop-up showing all the areas where the error occurred. Identify those areas and correct those errors. They're mostly due to missing values, and once those errors are then completed, you should have a recalculate option for recalculation. Please complete subsection 6.2 as well, and that should mark the end of application of methodology tab or section. As previously mentioned, for the crediting baseline section to display the correct requirements, you must complete step 8, which is selecting the crediting baseline method applied by your project. And then also the condition indicator captured for the crediting baseline in step 8, application of methodology, should be selectable here. Please go ahead to complete all the required sections as seen here. Then enter in all the proof for various steps. You can also see the applicable supported file extensions here. And once you've completed this section, you can move to the next section, which is the monitoring section. And then for the monitoring section, again, as mentioned, the relevant values here, data parameters, and information should be carried over from the application of methodology section for all of the parameters. Now, the appendix is where you get the backend calculation output. It does show you all output here, and it also just lays out the year values as seen here. Now, once you've completed that information, you can upload or submit your digital project description document to the registry. Just ensure you have all of the required information entered in the section, and then you could select Submit. You can also review your activity log at any time to see the changes made and the individual responsible or user responsible for making those changes. If you need to review the disclaimer again, you could always review it in this section. And with that, we've come to the end of the demonstration on completing and submitting the Digital Nature Framework project descriptions template. Please contact Bridget Hub support if you need assistance with the platform or tools technology issues. The contact email is hubsupport@vera.org. And if you have general inquiries about the nature framework or project eligibility, please reach out to Amy Tom, Manager Sustainable Development Innovation via email at atom@vera.org. Thank you for watching and have a great day.